Hello, I'm here with you today to talk a little bit about servant leadership. I'm here with a nursing friend and colleague. I believe that Michelle here exhibits the characteristics of servant leadership on a daily basis. I, of course, am Ashley, and like I said, this is Michelle. She works as a clinical supervisor in our local office. So before we get started, I wanted to take a quick second to review that Michelle has indeed given me permission to complete and present this video interview for my nursing leadership course. Michelle, do you agree?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good deal. So in getting started, I'm going to go through a few questions with you, and you can just answer however you feel best.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and move forward with the questions. I'm going to start with what I feel is the most important foundation for what we're going to go over. What is your definition of a servant leader?
Well, Ashley, I think a servant leader is someone who works for the common good of others and who is willing to be there to answer questions and to help and to be at service. Being a servant leader is a question. It's what can I do? How can I help? How can I be there? What can I bring to the table? And it's also an answer. You know, what are the knowledge, what is the knowledge and the skills and the abilities that I have? What can I apply to the situation? Basically, why did I become a nurse? You know, was to be there to help. It also brings life to that maxim of doing unto others as you would like for them to do unto you. So just putting that goodness out there in the world and just helping, you know, anywhere that you can.
Great. So would you describe yourself as a servant leader?
Yes, I definitely would.
Since you said yes, can you give me an example of your ability to display this trait?
Okay. I think that it would be definitely listening to people and making them feel heard. Making sure that they're able to bring any of their concerns forward and, you know, to not only be heard, but also to know that I will act on the issue or follow up on the issue, and that I will be in touch with them and follow up and ensure that it's resolved. And if it's not resolved, that we'll do some type of new plan of action, that there'll be a new course of action, a new plan in place, a new way to look at it. And sometimes that involves, even in servant leadership, it involves bringing in the team and collaborating with others, you know, saying, hey, can you look at another side of this issue that I'm not seeing?
Right.
So you need to be very, very open to other people's opinions. And it does take a degree of humility to be able to say, hey, maybe I don't have all the answers. Maybe I need to bring someone in or consult a doctor or, you know, get another opinion. So I think it's really important, and that's the best example I have, is of being open to the input of others and the exchange of ideas.
I think it's great, too, that you pointed out that communication can even, you know, be one of the more important things. If you don't have an answer for them, you know, you may have to seek guidance from somewhere else, and as long as you're keeping that line of communication open,
Absolutely.
you know, and they see that you're working on their problem, not just addressing it and letting it sit, that, you know, that they're going to feel like they're taken care of.
Right.
Okay, so how do you feel, aside from what you just told me, obviously, being in home health, we deal with this every day. I know we have a very busy office. How do you feel like you, as a servant leader, meet the needs of everybody else, all while meeting the needs of our team or our group here in the office?
Okay. As you know, it's a very busy role that we have, a lot of demands, and I think it's really, really important to treat every interaction not only as a marketing interaction that represents our business and our core values, but also to act like every interaction is an individual interaction, and that every person is the only person. Because basically these are the people that we serve, and without them we have nothing. You know, we have to definitely look at their needs and keep that patient focus and keep it centered. But also servant leadership applies to being in the office setting and how we all work together. We all need each other for a certain part of for this position and what we're doing, so we need to definitely be there for each other as well. So it's not just the patients, it's definitely applying to the office setting and all of our interactions, just being there, being patient and communicating. I couldn't stress it enough. It's so important to talk to each other, let each other know what's going on, and make sure that the group is working together. It's an integral, an interdependent type relationship.
Right.
And the only way that we really know, like if I know if you as my boss, what your priorities are, is that you let me know and that you make it very clear and that you're very, direct about that. And then the only way that I know that, what people that work with me need is by, stressing that communication, being there, and them knowing that, I've got their back, they've got my back, that kind of thing.
Exactly. So, I know these, but what do you feel like your personal leadership strengths are?
Well, I think it's really important to remain calm in a crisis. People wouldn't think so, but even in the home setting, we have quite a few crises. People take their problems home with them, literally. And we always tell the nurses not to make yourself at home in the home setting, but sometimes that tends to happen. So I think when there is some kind of crisis or concern or even an emergent care situation where someone will have to go to the emergency room, there's lots of different examples of crises. But it's always important to really remain calm. Don't escalate with the situation. If somebody's getting really upset because they don't have their nurse or they don't have what they want from us as a team, it's really important not to get upset with them or to try to, outshout on the phone or anything like that, but to just remain on an even keel and calm and let them kind of speak their piece, what they'd like to say, but also listen through what they're saying, because human needs can come out in really strange ways, and they can, come out angry or avoidant, or, there's a lot of different ways that these things come out. So listen through what they're saying, get to the heart of the underlying matter, find out what's really going on out there, and remain calm. Be really effective in your communication. Talk to them. You may need to show up at that home. Sometimes you can't just find out on the phone. There's so much that's missing from communication. About 70% is missing over the phone. So if you just hear that, and somebody's really upset and it's a problem, but you don't really know what it is, you need to get in your car and go to that home if at all possible, unless it's hours away and you can't. But otherwise, definitely, show up, be there, don't escalate the situation, and then just really pay attention to what they're trying to say, hear them. A lot of times when we communicate, we're thinking about the next thing we're going to say, so we don't really tune in to what that person's actually saying, or we're like, I really got to get out of here, that type of thing.
Especially when you're in the problem-solving seat, because you're sitting there listening to a problem that your patient has, and you're thinking, okay, how am I going to react to fix this? So sometimes you're missing very important details that the person who's talking to you is trying to tell you, simply because you're trying to figure out how you're going to fix their problem.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And a lot of times that really comes from our own pride, because we just want to say, oh, I've got the answers, And sometimes it just takes a while to come to that answer.
Right.
And what these patients want is for you to just kind of be with them in that moment of, what they're going through, and just say, that really sounds like a tough situation. I really want, this is important to me, I really want to follow up on this, but I need to get some more information. So if we kind of it's sort of like emptying yourself of yourself sometimes, and just say, hey, I'm here for you, and I really just want you to let me know how you're feeling, what's going on. And it's been helpful for me to have kind of a notepad and write down what they're saying, sort of in shorthand. Sometimes in my mind, if I don't have a notebook, I'll just repeat what they're saying, to myself, just to kind of really tune in. And I've found that there can be so many really little items that you just tune into, and it's like, oh, that's
Right.
it. There's the answer right in front
Right.
of you. And they have that information to give to you, but they don't know what to do with it. So as far as processing, don't worry about being fast about it. Just, take as long as it takes, and, try to gather all that information. Do a really good investigation. You kind of become like a mystery sleuth sometimes when there's a problem.
Right.
You have to get all the facts, and then what you do is, try to problem solve and
Right.
look at that. And sometimes there are, questions that there aren't answers to, but there are best scenarios or best practice, the best that we can do.
Right.
Sometimes patients are facing two situations where there's two bad choices, and we have to help them make the better choice,
Right.
or point them to maybe another service or some level of care that they might need, whether it's, acute care or something like that. So there's lots of different things that come up with that, but I think just getting back to your question, as far as the strength, I think that that comes from communication, and that's something that everybody has, and it helps us to be able to empower others to not only, do their own self-care, but also, for nurses to be able to learn and to prepare themselves for situations, to want to know more and to want to do a better job for the patients.
Awesome. And I was going to point that out. It sounded like that you were getting back to that core idea of communication being a great thing for servant leadership, and I definitely agree with that. And I think that's one thing that, I've taken from you since coming here is listening to you speak with these patients on the phone and in person, and that's the one thing that I feel like I've learned a lot by watching you, is just watching you communicate with these patients, watching you communicate with the staff, and really listen in and tune into what they're saying, and not have your back burners going on, everything else. So
Well, thank
I
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you.
So lastly, what do you think you can do in your leadership role to empower others? I know we've hit on that, throughout
Yes,
this, but
we have, and that is just such a core value, is to empower others, because it really isn't about the self. It's about, helping other people. So definitely point them towards education, towards empowering themselves, wanting to learn more. Knowledge is going to be their power and their freedom in the situation. And definitely, instead of, fishing for them, go ahead and teach them to fish and help them to do that for a lifetime. It's really, really important, and that's a maxim that I live by. Definitely lead people. You know that they have it and they're in the right place when you lead them to therefore pay it forward and then empower others. And that actually, at the end of the day, is what makes someone in servant leadership, really happy to be doing what they're doing, is knowing that, you did make that difference, because not only did you help this person, but they helped another person and they helped
Right.
another person.
Right.
So it really is a blessing.
Awesome. Well, Michelle, thank you so very much for letting me interview you, and of course video record it.
Well, thank you very much.
I appreciate you. You've been a wonderful resource, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.